Well, hey, welcome to the Pursue One podcast, your home for learning to pursue what matters most. Do me a favor, wherever you're listening to this podcast or if you're watching it on YouTube, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you would, leave us a review. It helps people find our content quicker and faster. Really appreciate if you would do that. On today's podcast, I'm joined by just a couple friends. We're talking about picking the very best hunting bow that you can pick. And it all comes down to personal preference and what you prefer. But we get into some really great detail about shot ethics, practice routines, and how to select that perfect rig for your next hunting season. So let's get to the podcast. Well, hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm joined by Anthony Michael, who just sent me a picture the other day of some mail. And inside the mail was some trail cams.
Some trail cameras, yeah. My brother ordered a few online, sent them over to us. He lives in Colorado and just isn't able to make it home to set up some preseason cameras to go scout.
The question is, will you share the photos with him?
With him, I feel obligated since he bought the cameras. So
just send him pictures of fawns and a bunch of does.
Yeah.
No bucks
That's all
out
we're
here.
getting on camera, man.
I don't know. Don't come home. Not needed.
Yeah.
So, you been shooting your bow?
Probably not as much as I should have.
Yeah.
Been slacking the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Been working a little later, and then I drive an hour and 15 minutes to get home from work, and so by the time I get home and get dinner and stuff, it's kind of late, and just haven't been doing it. But trying to pick it up in the next few weeks and shoot. When's we under 60 days now?
I believe so. October 1 is our opener, and there's tons of stuff to get done. It's just been so hot.
Oh,
I mean, today I got my saddle out to do a quick pre-run up the tree just to get used to all of that stuff. And man, I was dripping in sweat by the time I was done.
I walk outside to the grill and I'm sweating. So
it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but I'm planning on doing some scouting, some public ground this weekend probably.
Oh, are you?
So I'm preparing
where are you gonna
go? The woods. I'm going to the woods.
That's always a fun question to ask people. Where's that at? Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. So, are you hanging cameras on public ground?
I might. I need to pick up some cable locks still. I don't have any of those, and I just if I do plan on hanging some cameras, I'm not going to risk it on public ground without at least trying to lock it to a tree. So
yeah, losing a camera is no fun. For those of you that are listening to the podcast or watching this on YouTube, just don't be that guy. Don't steal trail cam.
Yeah, it's not cool.
It's terrible. So, but on the podcast today, we're gonna give Travis Michael a call, and we're gonna talk about bow selection, how to pick the perfect hunting bow. Anthony just shelled out the cash and picked up a brand new bow, and so we're gonna tell you what he picked. But before we tell you what he picked, we're going to go through the process of some of the non-negotiables that some people have when it comes to picking that perfect bow for them or and all that type of stuff. And so I'm really excited about the podcast. So let's give Travis. Let's give Travis a call.
Yo.
What's up, man?
Not much. What y'all doing?
Nothing. What are you doing?
Tara just got in today, so just downstairs.
Sweet. For those of you who don't know, Tara is
Tara is my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law.
Yeah. You better not.
That. My wife's mother.
Yeah. So you better be careful in case she listens to this podcast. I don't think she will.
This is the type of thing she's into. So
you just never know. You never know. Well, today what I want to do is just talk about something I know we're all super passionate about, which is just bow selection and shooting bows. But before we get there, I want to open a can of worms because I know you have an opinion on this. Travis, you're the one. I know it. Perfect bear defense gun.
Perfect bear defense?
Yeah.
There's two trains of thought on that. The old classic being more punching power is always better, which is where you get your 44 mags and your Ruger 480s and guns like that. Smith & Wesson 460.
But if you could only pick one gun, and Anthony, feel free to weigh in on this too. If you could only pick one gun to take as a defense gun, into the mountains for Grizz, what would you take?
Right, and that is your second train of thought, which is the one I subscribe to, and that is that I want something that I know I can put on target as fast as possible, and that I'm going to have more than one shot at a bear. So you think of a 44 mag shooting 220 to, I think they go upwards of 300 grains. The power of that gun, when you shoot it, the recoil, just getting target acquisition for your follow-up shot, it just takes a lot more.
Yeah.
Versus what I carry, which is a Glock 20 10 mil. The recoils still will sling 180 grain projectile. You can get back on target a lot faster. You've got 15 shots. 15 plus one, because you get one in the chamber.
Yeah.
I just prefer something I am very comfortable shooting. I know I can get on target fast, get my follow-up shot in fast, and I know I have a lot of shots.
Yeah. Well, I've been freaking myself out because I've been watching all these Grizz attacks. I don't know if I'm just trying to psych myself out. I'm getting ready.
The last thing you're gonna watch when you're getting ready to go.
Getting ready to go to Wyoming to hunt elk, and so
heavily.
I'm just been carry anything about an 18-inch barrel 12 gauge with a slug in it's about as good as you can get.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, so this afternoon I'm watching some videos about bear defense, and I just ran across that whole train of thought about what's the best gun to take, and
sure.
I really didn't know much about the Glock 20 10 mil until today, and I was really, there's something to say about having 15 rounds.
Yeah, I'm like Travis. I think I'm the semi-auto, a 10 mil. I personally don't care for the Glocks. Myself, I just don't like the way they feel in my hands.
You would.
But,
I'm not surprised.
Everybody's got their own personal preference on which type, which brand of handgun. It's the same what we're going to talk about today, the bow selection.
Yep.
My train of thought is just be comfortable and knowledgeable about the handgun that you're going to shoot.
And practice, man.
Practice.
For sure.
Especially with a handgun.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Anthony. I don't like the way a Glock feels in the hand, but I've practiced enough that I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, as far as semi-autos go, Glock is kind of like an AK. You can put it through the ringer and it's still going to shoot.
True.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about reliability as well.
True.
So.
Well, that has nothing to do with our topic today. I just thought you'd have an opinion, and I'm kind of afraid to go home at night just because I've been watching these grizzly bear attacks.
We live in
we do, but
we got cougars.
I'm on edge.
They don't exist.
Yeah, they don't exist. I'm on edge.
Well,
That's bottom line.
It doesn't help that you have a personal connection to a grizzly attack either.
True.
Makes it very real.
True. So, but anyway, I want to get to today's podcast. I want to talk about bow selection and how to pick the perfect hunting bow. And I know recently, Anthony, you went and shot pretty much all of the new 2019 lineup, right?
Almost all. The only brand I did not shoot actually was Matthews.
Okay.
I've shot.
Is there a reason, or you just didn't have that available?
Didn't have it available.
Okay.
And even though there is a bow shop around here that has it, it just not. I don't know. I'm never really been a huge fan of Matthews, honestly.
Okay.
In the way they shoot, they feel the draw cycle. I've never ever been a fan of the Matthews bows. So
gotcha.
Kind of put it out from the options to begin with. It's probably get a lot of feedback saying it's the wrong thing to do, but that's what I did.
Yeah. You shoot what you can go and get your hands on for sure. So
I shot for almost 2 straight hours. I was shooting bows, different kinds, brands, different models of the same brand.
Mm-hmm.
I think I shot 5 or 6, 7, 7 or 8 different bows.
Okay.
So
there's a lot of things that go into the consideration when you're talking about a bow. For many people, the top of the list is budget. What can you afford? What can you not afford? Then there's the consideration of back wall, of release aid, of arrows, sight, stabilizer. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so I guess start with what bow you had, because I think that's really important too.
What year is my bow?
Like a
I currently have
1999
1900 stick bow.
Yeah.
Self-made.
Just recurve.
No, I think the bow I currently have is 12 or 13 years old.
Okay.
I got it.
Old.
Yeah, I got it my senior year of high school, and it
was already used.
It was
because you're not 33.
No, it was 2 years. It was a 2-year-old model at that time. I had turned in to get a new bow.
Do you remember the name of it?
It is. And it's slipping me right now. No, I don't. It's they don't make them anymore.
Okay.
I don't even think the brand exists anymore. So it'll come to me later in the podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
throw it out there when you find out. So, yeah, there's just a ton of things that go into it. I know for me, and I don't know how Travis is on this, but I know for me, the number one concern I have is shootability.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I personally don't subscribe to the speed of a bow. I don't necessarily think that's a big deal. Maybe it's because I'm a 28-inch draw, and whatever bow I shoot is going to be slow. I mean, bottom line.
I'm not much more. I'm a 28.5. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 28 as well.
You are? Yeah, so, I mean, for me, speed's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a speed person either. I mean, I don't like to be able to watch my arrow go from my bow to the target, but I'd rather have a smooth draw cycle and something with an easy back wall, a good back wall, so
now,
you can hold it.
Define what an easy back wall is.
Something you can hold and it's got good balance, especially in the Midwest, the whitetail. Your shooting windows oftentimes are not very big.
Yeah.
So your draw when he's behind a tree and you wait for him to step out, you need to be able to hold that.
Yeah.
So something with a good back wall is important.
Yeah, and that's I've shot a lot of different bow manufacturers, and I know, like we said, Anthony, you have two just recently. There is a wide variety of back walls. That's personally why. I won't throw the brand name out here, but there's one that I will not shoot because it feels like when I get to full draw that it's just going to go on me,
mm-hmm.
and I hate that feeling. Yeah, I'm not going to say the brand name. It wasn't that one though, but it just feels like it's going to take off on me, and I personally don't like that. Now I will say that depending upon the release aid you use, depends upon that back wall because if let's say you're a back tension guy, that whole spongy type, it's going to take off of me feeling, it's actually a part of your form.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't, it's just kind of different. It depends upon how you shoot. So, I mean, for me, like, I like a bow where I get to full draw and I have to push it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just something about being comfortable at full draw.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what kind of release do you shoot?
I'm shooting a Scott release. I think it's called the Thing 1. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a finger trigger style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I'm still shooting an old school wrist rocket that most people shoot. It's what I've always shot. It's what I'm super comfortable with.
And that's the big thing is comfortability, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, I switched to, I think it's a True Ball, but it's like the 3-finger thumb release.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, mine is set up where you can adjust where the grip part of it, the release part is, and it's set up to feel almost exactly like a rifle. Like my fingers tucked up in it. It's super tight. I'm not outstretching, and I don't feel it's
so
super
you're talking
compact.
middle of the finger, right?
Yeah.
Right above the knuckle.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost essentially like I shoot my pistol, I shoot my rifle. It's the trigger for my release is in the same exact spot as both of those.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I've got that trigger. I mean, it's maxed out as close as it can get to my palm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I shoot in the summer, I'll go through a process of I'll shoot 3 different kinds of releases because I want my brain to actually have to think about what it's doing. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, smart.
in the month of July, I'll go back tension, and it never fails. Like the first time I pick it up, it's always like 5 yards, and I am absolutely terrified because you hear that click and it just goes. Like, you know what I mean? And the one I have actually doesn't even click. It's just like
it just goes.
It just goes, and it's a good reminder of like, okay, stay in the shot. Don't just don't get so habitual that you just punch the trigger.
Yeah. Well, that's like I'm so drilled on my shot sequence that.
Do you have a specific sequence?
I have a very specific sequence.
What is it? Can you share it?
I can. It's probably. I mean,
I really hope it's embarrassing.
It's super simple. You draw back. I like to put it, and I'm gonna throw. This is gonna be weird. I'll hold this thing. I like to draw back. And I like to put my kisser right in the tip of my lip, or my cheek right here, and I kind of move it around a little bit.
Move that thing closer. There you go.
Did you hear me before that, though?
Yeah.
Okay. I like to. I'm gonna have to walk through this here. So I put it, and I work it around a little bit, and in the stand, it's a little bit faster, obviously.
I don't.
And I tuck my elbow back because I have a tendency to float my elbow up quite a bit, and so I consciously drop it back, and then really all I do is I just mentally say, let it float, meaning the pin.
Yeah.
To remind myself not to get caught up in, trying to hold it, drop steady. Because I've noticed that the more I try to hold it as still as I can on the target, the actual worse I shoot.
Yeah.
And so when I just let it kind of afloat and do what it does, especially at longer distances, I'm a lot more accurate. And then I just start going through the whole squeeze, and then I just start squeezing, almost squeezing my whole wrist or my whole fist at the time.
Yeah.
And honestly, it just kind of goes because I have the tension on my release set super low, so the poundage weight on the trigger is super low. So
gotcha.
I know when it's gonna go, but going through this shot sequence, which I've done for years now, really I feel like I'm super. Could I be more accurate with the back tension? Probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
Everybody's got their own little styles too, so.
Yeah. What about you, Travis? Do you have a sequence you go through?
Yeah, I do, and this is where that 3-finger thumb release comes in and why I like it a lot. Because when you have that release that you wrap around your wrist and that goes up through your palm, you're kind of stuck in how your hand sits on the bow. Like when you draw,
Yeah.
But with this thumb release, I draw, and as I pull back, I rotate my hand around, and I end with my palm facing out. And my thumb, I rest it on the bottom of my jaw in the same spot each time.
Okay.
And that's where it sits until I'm ready to shoot. Then I say to myself, every time I say, big breath, slow squeeze, send it, and then I shoot.
Okay. Now, do you do that with a rifle too?
Yeah, similar with a rifle, obviously.
Okay.
It's a very similar process. Obviously, there's a lot less muscle when you shoot a rifle because with a bow you have to squeeze your shoulders and all that stuff, so it's a lot more of a physical thing.
But it's still, I think still having a process is the key.
Very important, yeah. Being rhythmic, knowing what's going to happen is important too. Some people say let it surprise you, but I don't think that's good advice. I want to know exactly when everything's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So, and repetition is key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things that I did last summer for the first time, a friend of mine went on a trip. Anyway, long story short, a friend of his gave him a hide from a coos deer. Okay, he's not a hunter, doesn't really care to have it. He gave it to me, and so one of the things that I started doing last year, right before the season, is I'll take that hide and I'll throw it over my target, and I will come to full draw, go through my sequence, except I won't pull the trigger. But what I'll do is I will get used to seeing fur in my sight window. Because I don't know about you, when I get a doe at 8 yards the first time of the season, as soon as my pin hits fur, my brain is saying send it. Like, do you know what I mean?
I laugh because I shot a doe.
I'm telling you.
Middle of October, first deer within bow range, and I don't remember the shot.
Oh yeah, I know.
I mean, I didn't make a great shot on her at all. Fortunately, she still expired extremely quickly, but
yep.
I don't even know what my shot sequence was because I was doe fever kind of thing,
Wow.
and I mean, I was shaking too. I
Yeah.
mean, those first deer of the year.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's a thing that, unless you just shoot things all the time, year round, that's just something that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was home last October, same thing. I was sitting in the stand and had a doe come by, and I don't remember anything, and it was like blackout, and I shot her, and I actually hit my arrow hit a tree branch.
Okay.
That was very, very much so visible. But, you get into that, there's fur on.
I know, man.
And especially, and there's a difference between, a lot of times you're sitting there and, I'm not shooting a doe. So you can watch them and your heart rate won't go up. But as soon as you decide, I'm going to shoot this one, it's like a whole different thing.
Yep.
But
there's a mental change.
I hit her in the spine.
Yeah.
I mean, and she dropped, obviously, and I put another one through her lungs real quick, and she died fast. But
well, the reason I started doing this is because 2 years ago, I had, I've got a place on my farm that I hunt where it's like a natural pinch point, and of course, October 6th or 7th, I'm up in the pinch point because does are moving to the ag field from the bedding area, and man, 4 o'clock happens, boom, here comes the first one. And she comes walking out. I let her go. Here comes another one. Here comes another. So I said to myself, I'm going to shoot this one. She gets to 12 yards, and I pull back, and I don't remember even grabbing my bow. Because all I did was I saw her, and I made the decision I was going to kill her. And then I pulled it out, and I let her fly. And I hit her in the spine. And, I wasn't 22 feet up in the ground, or from the ground. I was probably only 15, 16 feet. I was sitting down. And I had to grab another arrow and finish her, and it was fine. But and then from there on out throughout the rest of the season, I shot a few more does, and I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that first time you see a pin on fur that does something to your brain, and all the practice and all the sequences are all great, and they're important. But for me, I got to do that.
And I think the last, several years I've shot a doe, the first week or two of October. Mm-hmm. And I really think it's helped me later in November when I've got a 140-inch public land buck, which I've killed 3 years in a row now. But in front of my stand,
and would you tell us where that is?
In the woods.
Okay.
Well, you know exactly where
I know where it is.
But
just give me a call if you want to find out.
Yeah. Don't do that.
I'm kidding.
It's helped me be a lot more calm and focus through. And just, be able to, like the buck I shot last year, know exactly where my arrow was placed in the deer.
Yep. Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I can't remember who it was by. I'd have to look on my phone. But anyways, that was one of the things they were talking about. They were talking about herd management and talking about taking does. And the guy mentioned that was one of the added benefits of managing your doe population. Is it makes a huge difference, because you think some guys won't kill a doe and they'll go 2-3 years without seeing a shooter buck. You haven't killed anything in 2 or 3 years. That it changes everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I live in a spot where I have random critters that cruise through my yard. And last week I was sitting in my basement, and I got to walk out basement, and I see this big old groundhog come cruising out of the creek, and I was like, I grabbed my bow, and I was like, I just want to put fur and pin together, and as soon as he came out, I just sent it. I went through the whole thing, and
to get him,
yeah, and but it was an affirmation. I did not.
Groundhog's actually not too bad.
Really, I couldn't do it, but yeah, it was just something about going through the whole process. That's why a lot of guys bow fish, because you're constantly trying to acquire and shoot a target.
Yeah.
And I think it just helps you.
Yeah.
I really do.
Real life practice.
Yep, absolutely.
Sure.
Well, that has really I guess it has something to do with our topic today on the podcast, but I want to specifically go through the bows you shot. Now, none of us are affiliated with anything. We just shoot what we like.
We have no sponsors.
Yeah, we don't worry about that. But right now we're
We
going
are taking sponsors though.
We'll sell out for a backcountry.
listening?
Oh man,
Packs, bows, guns, gear, you name it.
oh man. Well, let's go through all of the brands you shot. You sent me this very detailed list, and I'm a guy, so when I get a very large message, I don't read it most of the time.
I didn't read it either. I couldn't.
I just saw it and was like, "That's a lot of detail," and I just kept scrolling. So let's go through that detail, and Travis and I will throw you questions.
Cool. So I'll just go through the list.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, we've got footage of you shooting all these, so you'll be able to see it.
It's not very good footage because I was trying to
It's
operate.
not bad,
Yeah, the lighting could be better, but.
Well, you're inside of a bow shop.
And I don't know how to change the settings on your camera, so
Yeah,
that was most of it.
So did you go to more than one pro shop?
No, I just went to Addis Archery over in Diedrich.
Diedrich, Illinois, look them up.
Yeah, it's a super great bow shop. They're pretty small.
Yeah.
Locally owned, but
Jason's a great guy.
Yeah, great guy. The staff in there, super knowledgeable. They work on bows. They sell a lot of stuff. They've got a great indoor 3D screen shoot thing that they do wigs on. And it's 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
So versus the next closest one is about 40.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Okay. We'll go through your list.
So the list of bows I shot were the Prime, all 2019, flagship bows. The Prime CT3 and their CT5, just a really different axle-to-axle link there. I shot the Bowtech Realm SR6 in the speed mode. And I also shot the Bowtech Reckoning.
Which I had not heard about that. I saw that on your list.
Yeah, I hadn't. It wasn't originally on the list, but the guy at the pro shop shoots it, and he just recommended it.
Okay.
They had one, and so I was like, well, I'm here shooting, so I might as well. I shot the Elite Ritual 35 and the PSE Evoke 35.
35?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the not Matthews and not Hoyt.
Okay. Okay.
Mainly, I would have shot Hoyt, but they didn't have him there, and
Yeah.
I don't really care for Hoyts that much either. So
Yeah. So run us through your pros and cons for them.
yeah, let me pull this up.
And I'm going to have you rank them based on some of the things that we talked about earlier. We didn't plan any of this, so you better be ready.
Yeah. So this list is not in the order that I said, but the SR6, I really liked how it shot. It had a pretty solid back wall.
Okay.
To me, it was a little spongy still. It wasn't just an absolute rock.
Cable stop or limb stop?
I don't recall what they had it set up to.
I'm sure it's cable stop.
It was probably because of the sponge in it. I'm sure it was cable stop.
Yeah.
But it was, if it was, and I'll have to ask the guys, and we'll post a comment in the section here.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a cable stop, it was a super solid cable stop. We'll get on to one of the other ones that was a little spongier, but it didn't have very much vibration after a shot. It was pretty dead in the hand, didn't really vibrate. I shot a ton of arrows, and I would just let the bow sit there in my hand and just wait and just to see what it felt like. Not worrying about really anything but what the vibration in the hand said.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've reviewed the footage already, and it looked a little jumpy. And I don't know if that was just you weren't holding it very tight. Is that probably it?
That was, for some of the shots, that was probably it.
Okay.
I had, when I was testing that vibration, I did have a super loose grip on it.
Okay.
But some of the other ones, I did have, when I was testing the back wall and other of that stuff, it was a little jumpy.
Okay.
Though, when it hit, it hit the cable or the string stop, it was a little jumpy in the hand.
So rate the back wall 1 to 10.
1 being spongy and 10 being a rock.
Yes.
Probably about a 6.4.
Oh, he's going 0.4.
Yeah, 0.4.
Now, we should also mention that none of us are professional author? No, that's the wrong
I don't
word.
write.
Archer. We're none of us are professionals. It's all opinion based.
Yeah, all opinion based, and just what I felt. So,
and I think that's the big thing. And Travis, I know you know I talked a little bit about this before, but it's all about getting out there and shooting all of them, and finding out your preference and your style of shooting.
Yeah. And then one of the other things that I really just didn't like, there was a lot of things I did like about the SR6. One, it's ridiculously fast.
It is quick.
They had a pretty solid draw cycle, but it wasn't super jumpy or anything like that. But one thing I didn't really like was the grip. It had a super narrow grip that had a plastic cover piece on it that seemed to want to just move around on me.
The plastic did or the grip?
The plastic did, which I don't know if that might have been just because it was a shop model or whatever, but...
Were you sweaty?
No, it was the actual...
You look sweaty in the footage.
Really?
No.
It's like it was kind of cold in there, actually. It was... So you had like a plastic sheath over the grip that your thumb set in, and it wanted to move on me. I don't know if it was just that bow or whatever, but that just didn't sit well with me. Being something I want to rely on. I don't have to throw some tape on there or, it fall off when I'm in the tree stand with a deer or anything. So
yeah. Surely there's a way to clip that down or something.
Yeah, I'm sure super glue. The Reckoning basically had the same review, with the grip, the draw cycle, the back wall. One of the great things, I think, if you're a target shooter about the Reckoning is the ability to tune it. It had just an amazing ability to kind of adjust it to make sure your string is super straight, super in line.
Like you, the archer, could do that?
You, the archer, could do that on your own and not have to take it to a pro shop and do that yourself. I forget what exactly, and we can look it up and post it in the
One of the really cool things that Bowtech does, and you alluded to this, but their flip disc system.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
It from like sport mode to comfort mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's...
It's like driving like a Honda Civic and like a Corvette.
Yeah.
Like it's completely different bows.
Yeah. I might say Cadillac and Corvette because it's still super fast bow, but...
Yeah.
But one of the things that kind of closed the door for the Reckoning for me was it had a crazy amount of vibration. Not just at the shot, which was super...
Like a tuning fork type feel?
It had that as well as just a ton of vibration in the hand when I shot. So, and I could feel it go up and down the bow, left and right. It was probably the weirdest thing I've ever shot. But the guy at the bow shop said that's what he shoots for his target bow. And you put on a stabilizer, and which the stabilizer he had was a 3-foot long.
So he's a target shooter.
Yeah. Which that's why he really liked it. It's got a 35 axle to axle. It's the tunability of it is crazy. I just was not, that vibration just didn't do it for me at all. So,
gotcha. Again, all personal preference.
Yeah.
So,
to me, the Elite Ritual was also pretty good.
Which one did you shoot?
The 35.
35. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they have a 30 as well.
Yeah.
Which is more my style.
Yeah, well, I'm a little taller than you, too.
A little bit, yeah. Like 5 inches.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Which is, between the 30 and the 35 axle.
True. True. Very true.
Same bow at that point.
Very true.
It shot pretty great. It was, honestly, I think it had the least amount of vibration in the hand at the shot of any of the bows. I had to really concentrate to feel vibration when I shot that bow. It was crazy. The draw cycle on it was pretty smooth. It didn't jerk on me super bad once it got into the valley. Releasing it, you did have to almost force it down to go, which I kind of really like too. I don't like that jumpiness once you're, in the back.
That's what I love about those things.
Yeah.
Like I had the original Elite 35, and that thing, it was like dangerous feeling.
Yeah.
Like you get that thing full draw, and to let it down just made me nervous.
Really?
I loved it. I mean, I loved it, but like it's crazy. Like you have to force it down.
Yeah. Oh, you had to like push it almost to get it to go, which was nuts.
Which I love. Yeah. But I'm a limb stop guy myself. So
yeah, and this one had a cable stop.
It had a cable stop, or
I think.
I think the Elite has the limb stop. I believe.
Oh, it was the spongiest.
The Elite was spongy.
Yeah, it was. I could sit here and I could do this.
Then it must have had a cable stop on it. Then
yeah,
I don't even know if they do that. So
I don't know.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some follow up because that one, I could let down and pull back at the back wall and watch the arrow move on the rest.
Oh, okay. So when you were at full draw and you're pulling against the string, it wasn't it wasn't creeping on you.
No.
Okay, we're talking about two different things. So you're talking about the valley that is in the cam. That's what you're talking about. Like when you started pushing it down, like relaxing it wanted to go.
No, I'm talking when I had it at full draw at the back wall.
Okay.
I could keep pulling, and then I could let it up, and I could keep pulling and let it up.
Okay.
It wasn't with the CT, like we'll get into it, but the CT3, I might as well have put my elbow on a concrete wall because I couldn't go any further.
I'm looking it up right now just because I got to find out.
Yeah, so to me, the Elite just had a crazy spongy back wall, and it also had a super narrow grip. It didn't have any extra pieces on it.
They are limb stops, by the way. They are limb stops.
Man, I wonder what that one...
I don't know. It could be our verbiage, too. So
yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead.
If we go back, we can draw it back, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And the grip on it was just way too narrow. It just felt like I was holding the twig in my hand, so I didn't really care for it. Overall, it's a great bow. I think there's a lot of people out there that would like it. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not very expensive for one.
No, they're you're right.
And if you're looking, if you're a guy looking for a bow with 0 vibration when you shoot, that's the bow to go with. So, the CT5, I actually thought going into this I would like a really long axle-to-axle.
Okay. 35 inches.
35 inches, which ended up being just way too long. It just kind of felt cumbersome. It was heavy. I just didn't care for the length of it. It's, again, all personal preference. It seemed like it stuck way above my head and then felt like it went down to my knees, which it probably did. And I thought I would like that, but then I started thinking I'm switching to a saddle this year, hunting mostly out of a tree stand. Might try to do some ground hunting as well. And
okay.
I think that long axle bodes well if you're a target shooter, but not if you're a tree stand guy.
And that's the thing too. Like, Travis, do you prefer like a longer axle bow because of you're out hunting out west?
No, I like short because of the weight and because I'm short.
Okay, I'm the same way. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, probably my favorite thing about both the CT5 and the CT3 was the draw cycle. It was essentially, I didn't feel like it really had a valley in it. Once the cams...
Like a dump, you mean?
Like a dump.
Okay, because valley is something different, but go ahead.
I need to refresh my verbiage then. So, I didn't feel like it dumped once it got, to the let off.
The transition was good.
The transition was great. To me, it felt like once it transitioned, I was at the back wall. Which, you didn't have that, and which went for the release as well. Just letting it down. It just was a super comfortable draw cycle. Both the primes had my favorite draw cycles of all of the ones I shot. So,
okay. So what was the back wall like? Run out of 10.
For the CT5, They had it set up for...
You're boring,
Yeah.
Travis.
They had it set up as a cable stop, so it was pretty spongy.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I'd probably say it was, 5.5. It was pretty spongy too. It was probably not quite as bad as the Elite was, but it was more spongy than I thought.
Gotcha.
Which I had read a bunch of reviews as well, so I knew what to look for, which probably hurt me at some of this. But it did have that tuning fork vibration. It was dead in the hand when you shot, but you could feel it go up and down the bow after it shot, which I hear is a very common
prime thing.
And I think it's because they use the aluminum risers.
82X.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten better over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've shot some of those from years past, and it was real bad.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's changed a little bit.
And then the CT3, essentially the same. I just like the shorter axle to axle. It was a little bit more maneuverable. It was 0.3 pounds lighter. They had it set up to a limb stop, which, like I alluded to earlier, was a rock solid back wall. I just couldn't draw any further back. Which is one of the things, which I'm sure we'll get into, but just one of the main things I was looking for was that back wall. Draw cycle was great. And it's, once you pulled back, when it dumped, it essentially didn't dump. I was at full draw, which I thought would be great. If you're in a tree stand shooting, you don't have that jerkiness of once you hit that area, less chance of deer spotting that quick jerky movement. You could just draw it back super smooth. So, and the Evoke.
Now that cam is absolutely insane.
Yes.
I love the cam system of that thing.
Yeah.
Because it's got 90% let off.
Yeah, which...
I mean, I watched a YouTube video of a guy who had his rig fully set up, and he literally turned it upside down to, had it on the draw board there, and the bow held itself back. Yeah, it was insane.
That's insane. Wow.
It was crazy.
I mean, that's what I felt like when I shot it too. It was set at 70 pounds with a 90% let off, and so you're only holding back 9 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is
insane.
Nothing. It's a paperweight at that point. I wasn't the draw cycle on it to me was a little bit jerky, which, some guys might not or might be okay with that. I just personally wasn't okay with that.
Yeah.
It's a fast bow because
it's very fast.
PSE. I mean, they always make fast bows.
Yep.
It didn't weigh that very much. Did have some vibration in the shot. And the grip was pretty good. I mean, it probably would have been, or it was the runner-up, second place. So
why don't you tell everybody what you picked?
I went with the CT3, the Prime CT3.
Prime C3T.
So
I think a lot of guys around here don't know, at least in South Central Illinois, don't really know much about Prime.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're a pretty new bow company.
Are they? I don't even know.
Yeah, I forget exactly how old they are. There's a great series on them on Amazon Prime, which is
Travis,
Prime on Prime.
Travis, do you feel like the people in Colorado where you are, do they know more about Prime?
No. Western hunters are all about speed, I feel like. So you're talking about like Matthews and Hoyt, Bowtech.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're shooting, sometimes guys are stretching it out to 70 yards, 85 yards, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you want something that's not going to lose a lot of kinetic energy in that type of distance. So. Yeah.
There's so many things to consider. So describe for the people listening, like in both of your opinions, what is the ideal characteristics for what you guys look for in a bow? I know you just bought one, so you've obviously made some decisions, but what are like the non-negotiables for you?
Trav, you want to start?
Yeah, for me, number one, obviously, is I want something that is as accurate as it can be.
Probably should start off by talking about, like, your primary place you hunt.
Yeah, so right now I live in Denver. I'm in the military, so I'm stationed at Buckley Air Force Base in Aurora, which is right outside of Denver. And before that, I spent 2.5 years in Arizona. So I've been the last 3.5, almost 4 years now, I've been doing a lot of Western hunting. So some mule deer, elk, stuff like that. So
antelope.
Big vistas. You're talking about a lot of country. And right now I shoot a Cabela's brand. Well, it's not Cabela's brand. It's from Cabela's, but it's made by, I think it's made by Bowtech.
Yeah, like it's. I think it's a diamond, isn't it?
Yeah, diamond, which is a Bowtech.
Yeah,
which is Bowtech. Yeah.
Yep.
And for me, I like accuracy, and I think the most important things to accuracy are solid back wall and no vibration.
Okay. So those are your two, like, non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Accuracy and vibration.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Anthony? Of course, you're a whitetail guy primarily.
Yeah, primarily whitetail. Am looking to the next several years start with some key resources. Start making some Western hunts. Looking at elk. Maybe some other antelope. I really want to take an antelope with my bow too.
Man, that's a challenge.
I got some spots.
Yeah. So, like he said, probably the number one, which is one of the reasons why I went with the prime, is accuracy. To me, there are a lot of factors that go into why a bow is accurate, excluding the human element, why a bow is accurate. And to me, the dual cams for the primes, there's so much science and technology and research and development that's gone into that. And proof, they keep winning a bunch of different bow challenges, bow tournaments from a national competitive type level. And which says a lot. It's a competition bow. It's not a hunting bow, whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of the technology plays into the hunting realm. And then off of that, like he said, like Travis said too, I really like the solid back wall, the dead in the hand. I really like it to be stable throughout the whole draw cycle, from the moment you start pulling back to the moment you release and that arrow leaves your bow. I want it to be stable, feel stable, not feel like it's swaying left or right, which is one of the reasons why I went with a little bit longer axle to axle, because I felt like that left and right, side to side, was just super solid. And, the torque on it, again, with those parallel cams, there's essentially none, just in the way that it's designed. So,
yeah.
That's why it's so important when you're deciding on a bow to shoot as many as you can get your hands on, because I've spent a good amount of time shooting a Matthews. I've shot a Prime. I've shot Hoyt several times. And I absolutely love Bowtech. I love the way it feels in my hand. I love the draw cycle. I feel like it's a solid back wall. And it's just a difference in opinion and how he shoots, how Anthony shoots, and how I shoot versus how you shoot, Matt. I mean, everybody's just a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying, the Bowtech, the grip on the Bowtech felt skinny to me. The Prime just felt like it just fit my hand perfectly. Not to mention it's also in the exact center of the bow. Yeah. Which I think helps with that stability, left and right and torque kind of thing when you're shooting.
Yeah.
When you grip a bow, Anthony, how do you grip it?
Pretty much
like palm open.
Palm open. I'm a palm open guy.
Okay.
So something that's skinny just feels like it digs.
Yeah.
In that crevice right there.
See, I really. Go ahead,
Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
I really like a thin grip for whatever reason.
Yeah. It's just everybody's got different preferences. So I
don't know. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, I'm with Matt, and that's because I have short, stubby fingers. So skinny fits my hand better.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I grip it, I like to sit it right in the base of my thumb. And I wrap my pointer finger around and I lay my thumb just right on top of it, but I don't squeeze it. And then my other 3 fingers don't even touch the bow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way.
Yeah. And I have small hands, so I need a skinnier grip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny to me because it's also personal preference.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, sure.
And I think that's what's cool about it is that there's something for everyone out there.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I get, I follow a lot of forums and Facebook groups and whatever, and some of these guys it's so aggravating because you can tell they've only ever shot one bow.
Like one brand.
One brand, and that's all they're loyal to it, which, I applaud being loyal to a brand, but until you've got out and experienced what else is out there, like us 3, we all have vastly different preferences when it comes to shooting bows.
Yep. I want to be able to pick up a bow, cold shot, and put it in the 12 ring at 60.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I look for certain things, and I'm not, my shot, again, being a whitetail guy, is primarily between 30 and 20 yards. And so, I mean, there's not a bow out there that's too slow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not too concerned about speed. I want to know I can hit a quarter at 30 yards every time because I'm not that great. So I need the bow to be as accurate as possible.
Not that great. Says a guy who can.
I shoot a lot.
100.
And you bring up a good point because you have to be accurate on your first shot.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how accurate you are in your 4th or 5th shot.
Well, you only get one shot. Most of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, like I follow Growing Deer TV.
Yeah.
Grant Wood's Instagram. I think he started a week ago, and his process up until, I think Missouri starts in
September 15th. Yeah.
Up until that opening day, 1 arrow a day. That's all he shoots.
Really?
He shoots 1 arrow a day, cold shot. He walks out, shoots it, and his goal, I mean, he's emulating that.
The fact that he gets one chance.
The fact that you get one chance.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
really cool.
I go and I shoot 100 arrows. Like,
yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, you talk about some of the best archers that I know of. Well,
Levi Morgan, like John
Cam
Dudley.
Haynes.
I don't even know if. Okay, so.
Well, Cam Haynes will shoot. He'll shoot. Sometimes he says he won't shoot more than 4 or 5 arrows in a night, and he's an incredible archer.
I would say he's a good archer. I wouldn't go with the incredible archer. John Dudley and Levi Morgan are those guys.
Those guys are incredible. Cam Haynes is great. And then
I'll give you that.
There's other.
I mean, he shoots out to 160 yards and he's accurate, and I get all that. But there are some guys out there that are incredible.
Well, and there's a lot of no-name guys too that are.
Yeah, guys we never hear about. So, well, hey, I know we're running out of time. So I'm gonna just throw at you guys a few things. You guys give me your opinions. Light arrow, heavy arrow. What do you choose?
Are we hunting or target shooting?
You're hunting. This is all hunting.
Okay, all hunting. Heavy arrow.
Heavy arrow. Like
what's heavy?
Yeah, what's heavy?
Above 500.
Above 500. Man, you are.
What's light?
Yeah, I would say light's probably. I don't know. I mean, for me, I hear like anything under 410 would be light.
Yeah,
I
mean, my whitetail arrow setup I have right now is 512 grains. 512. And I would like to add another 50 to that.
Brass insert or something?
Yeah.
What about you, Travis?
I'm in between. I'm sitting right around 430.
Yeah, see, Travis and I being shorter guys, my arrow's 433. Mm-hmm. And I've had to pass through with everything I've shot.
Yeah.
Now I've not shot an elk, so
yeah.
Well,
and I think it goes back to, and not to take up too much time here, but it goes back to personal experiences.
Yep.
I've had several deer who I've nailed in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And I'm being a whitetail guy.
Just shoot more.
Yeah. Well, if they would stand still, it'd be amazing.
Just messing with you. Yeah, that's the challenge.
So that's why I want a heavy arrow because, like you said, 30 yards and in, I'm not going to take a shot because I don't hunt. I hunt scrub. Like 30 yards is a long shot for where I hunt.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what the speed is of my arrow. I want that kinetic energy.
You want it to punch through.
And if I hit bow and if I hit shoulder, I want it to keep just going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And kinetic energy, for people who don't really know what that is, it comes from a combination of things. So it's not just about weight, and it's not just about speed. To get your optimum kinetic energy, you want the perfect mix of weight and speed.
Well, and with a lot of the bows anymore, speed's, you're shooting even a heavy arrow, like the DIY Sportsman guy who I listened to his podcast. He did a study of, 400 grains. It might have been less than that, but up. And the kinetic energy he was resulting from his bow and his arrow speeds until you got stupid, 1,000 grains. His kinetic energy kept going up, but his speed really didn't change.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about speed. My speed's going to be what my speed's going to be.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go with the next one, single pin or multi-pin sight.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Multi. I have.
This guy's the definition of multi-pin
I
sight.
have a 7-pin.
He's got a pin for every yardage known to man.
Yeah, I have a 7. It is. I need to back down to a 5.
Here's my problem. I'm just not that smart, and so whenever I get the full draw and I see 7 pins, I think I would lose my mind. I mean.
Yeah. Well, and when I shoot, and half of that is because I'm shooting a 12-year-old bow. And so my arrow arc is ridiculous. At 50
That's
yards,
going to change a bunch.
It goes, boo.
Yeah.
And you can watch the arrow drop in, which is kind of cool, but you're like, oh, no. So when I shoot, I bump up to this new bow. I probably have to drop down to a 5-pin just because my pins are going to have to be so close together that I'm not going to have a sight picture. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all personal preference, like you said. What about you, Travis?
I shoot single pin, and part of that is, so just in practice, I'll shoot 85 or 90 yards.
Yeah.
And my comfort range on a live animal would be between 60 and 65. And if you think about...
Or deer?
I'd shoot a whitetail at 65.
Wow.
And if
I shoot 100 all the time.
If you think about putting a pin on a whitetail at 65 yards, your pin size in relation to the body of that animal, if I had 7 pins on my sight, I wouldn't see the deer at all.
Yeah.
It'd be just pins.
Yeah.
Which is where a single pin comes in, is at those longer ranges.
Yep.
So 30 to 40 multi-pin is a huge... I feel like it's an advantage to have more than one. But past 40 yards, a single pin, just for your sight picture, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's the difference.
I can shoot 10 yards to 35 yards and not have to adjust I set it at 20 and I won't have to adjust it at all.
Yep.
So like we said, I'm shooting about 430 grain arrows at 323 feet per second. So
I think a lot of my stuff will change when I get this new bow.
Yeah.
So
well, that bow's going to be so fast, Anthony. Yeah. Your 5 pins are going to be touching inside 40 yards. I mean, touching.
Yeah. See, I'm shooting an HHA. I don't know. It's the new one. Single pin slider, and I can't go back. I have a multi-pin that I keep just, in my case in case I want to get it out and shoot it. And occasionally, once in a while, I'll be like, maybe I should go with multi-pin, and then I'll put it on, and I'll be like, that's a terrible choice. I just can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Once you've gone to single pin, it's so hard to go back.
Yeah, I honestly, the thing I'm gonna do a hybrid.
Okay.
There's a couple of brands out there that have hybrids.
Yep.
We've got 2 sets.
Black Gold has one.
And then a floater.
Spot hog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been looking at. Probably going to pull the trigger on that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so stabilizers, yes, no. What size? Sidebar? No sidebar? What do you guys do?
I run an 8-inch stabilizer with 3 ounces of weight on the front.
Okay. And you're shooting 80, 90 yards practice?
Yeah, 70-pound draw.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
With my old bow, I was shooting a 10-inch stabilizer. I don't know how much weight it had on the end. It was a pretty heavy stabilizer in all aspects. We'll see what I'm going to slap it on my prime and see what it does.
Yeah.
And depending on how my bow offsets in the grip with my quiver and all of that stuff, I might throw a sidebar on it just to suck it back up to center.
Yeah.
So
You don't look like an Olympic archer.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
So I used to shoot a sidebar and a stabilizer. You know, I'd shoot a 12-inch or a 10-inch, and I shoot the Prime Logic right now, and I don't shoot one at all. I have no stabilizer at all, and I have not sacrificed any accuracy out to, you know, I was shooting 2 days ago at 100, and I'm shooting the Reinhard, 18-inch block, and I'm putting them in there at 100 without a stabilizer.
What's your movement like, though?
You know, with the swerve that's in the riser of the Prime Logic, I have never felt more solid at full draw with any bow that I've ever, and I have shot and probably owned almost one of every company. Probably.
Yes, you have.
I had a problem. I'm getting better. I'm in rehab. I don't want to change. Like, I love that thing. And yeah, I'll send you guys a picture of my last group at 100, and you won't believe it's at 100.
Yeah, it would.
But I had a friend of mine.
Your groups at 100.
I had a friend of mine there watching, and I mean, I don't know. I just love it. I'm rambling.
How tight's your group at 100?
Pie plate. So I put six arrows in a pie plate.
I'm at a pie plate at 90.
Okay, so 10 yards is not a huge difference. The problem that I have is, a 28-inch draw, 70 pounds, 433 grain arrow. I'm maxed out on my single pin.
Yeah.
So I'm shooting like a dot that I put on my, not the pin, on the piece of plastic that holds the pin at 100 because I don't have enough space.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
My pin dial's to 110.
Okay.
I haven't taken a 110-yard shot yet. Farthest I've shot is 95.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I was with a friend of mine at a range yesterday, and he put one out at 100, and his first time he'd shot at 100, and I was really impressed. Like, sometimes just getting out there and shooting long distances at a target, people. Like, I'm not gonna shoot an elk or a deer at 100. But at the same time, it's like, you go shoot at 100, and I get a deer at 40. It feels like he is in the pump house.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably 80% of the reason why I wanted to buy a new bow this year, because at 50 yards with my 12-year-old bow, I would shoot several of your bows when you had them, and
hopefully my wife doesn't listen to this.
I could suck groups up super close together out at distance, but with the bow I was shooting, 50 yards was my max range.
Yeah.
Because I was starting to spread out at that point, and I knew it was the bow's fault.
Yep.
At that point.
Yeah.
And I really want to get out to that 100 mark. Just one, just because, and two is just
it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. So
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll run out of time. There's so many things that we could talk about. If you could give one guy one piece of advice when trying to select a new bow or shooting in general, what would you say to them as your one thing?
Mine would be, since I just recently purchased one, for buying a new bow, is do your research, and do your research.
That's three things.
Well,
kinda.
Figure out the things that you think you should be looking for, and then just go shoot as many bows as you can, and figure out just what's comfortable to you and what feels good.
Yeah. What about you, Travis?
Who cares what your buddy shoots?
That's good, yeah. Yep. Find something that fits.
Shoot what's best for you.
That's good. How many times you tell me to buy a Logic?
Dude, a lot. I was like, you need to buy a Prime. If I was going to give somebody listening a piece of advice, it would be to shoot and shoot often. Now, I know that's not a tip for selecting a new bow, but it is just an archery tip in general. I get so frustrated with guys who try to sight in their bow on a live animal on October 1st. Like, that just bothers me.
Yeah.
Get out there and shoot. Who cares what your friends shoot, as Travis said, and do your research and just get out and enjoy it. It's such a fun experience.
And the other thing I would say is the deer doesn't care how much the bow costs.
Yeah, that's true, man. Absolutely true. So, well, Travis, next time we talk to you, you'll be live on the podcast with Jeff, as you guys are in Alaska hunting caribou.
Oh, yeah.
And so have a good trip. We won't probably talk to you till after that. So.
Sounds good.
Have a good time, man.
I will. Appreciate it.
All right.
See ya.
See you guys. Well, hey, I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I had lots of fun talking about something that we're passionate about, archery. And so I hope that throughout this podcast you learned one thing. I hope you learned that you need to get out and get shooting your bow and get ready for the upcoming fall. Can't wait to see you on the next podcast.